Yeah, you were a baller. You were the big dude on campus through the years, and then as Father Time started to catch up with you. When do you decide it's time to give it up? I know we all have that dream, but at some point you realize that it's time to transition to another way of life. Rodney and I talk about that today, as well as marriage and some of the issues that come along with that. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
I know a couple of guys my age still thinking they can still play basketball. Like, sit your old ass down. So it's some of those dreams. It's hard to give them up, but at some point you got to grow up and give them up because you got to move on.
Yeah, you definitely got to do that. I think the thing that I'm noticing seem like more and more is how some of the guys that I grew up with that played ball and stuff are having, physical issues now that they've gotten older. I know, the guy that came in the Air Force, they medically boarded him out because of knee problems that he had that started when he was playing in high school, and then he went in the Air Force and he was, he played, he was on the, not the base team, the command level team. I mean, he was that good. Hurt his knee again, had problems with it from that point on. They medical boarded him out. So when he got out, they turned him over to the VA. He had a couple of surgeries through the VA, and I was talking to him, and he was just you could tell he was just so bitter, about stuff.
Yeah.
He was talking about the surgeries hadn't gone well, and he was on all this kind of pain medicines, and they didn't send me my pain meds. I had to call them, and I had to come down there and get. I'm like, damn, and another guy I know grew up with, he was a year behind me. He played at MTSU for a couple of years. He just had a hip replacement done. And he said, yeah, he's from back when I was playing ball and stuff,
Yeah.
So sometimes, that, you put stuff that you don't think a whole lot about when you're younger can come back to bite you a little bit too as you get older,
Oh yeah.
That's
why those decisions that you make, you have to make them at that time under what circumstances that you're under.
Yeah.
And basically to give up the dream, man, because I say that casually, but I did it casually, okay, this ain't gonna work, so I got to go somewhere else and do this, and I sometimes I can't understand why people can't let stuff go. No matter how bad you want it at some point, because I can tell you right now, it took me several years. From the time when we was playing basketball over there at the gym, and the base team coach came and asked me to come out for the team after watching. I was like, I was having a hard time giving it up, coming out of college.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm like, yeah, this will work. And of course, my new wife said, well, what am I going to do? And I said, well, I guess I need to let that
go. Yeah.
I guess I need to let that go. Now you got to make a big boy decision, put some big boy panties on and go on.
That's right. It makes a difference. But I know it's got to be hard. And I think probably, you're a perfect example of that because, you could play some ball. You weren't one of those kind of guys that was out there that was like a one-hit wonder kind of thing. You could play some ball, and you played ball at every stage of the way up to college ball, Yeah. So I'm sure, it makes it a lot harder for someone like you to make that kind of decision when you got those kind of skills. There's, as you say, there are some players who are more, they're a figment of their own imagination. It's like,
right.
You talk a good game, but I ain't seen that out on the court. There was a guy that was in the dental squad. All he talk about, yeah, man, he could play some ball. I remember I went over there one day. They was playing a game over at the Warhawk, and first thing it was, I'm like, you don't see many guys playing basketball with 10-inch fingernails. He had the longest fingernails I ever seen in my life. And I'm like, you don't see a whole lot of guys playing ball with them kind of fingernails.
That
And
was
I
before.
went out there.
That was before Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
And I went out there and saw him, and I'm like, what is all the hype? I mean, I said, I know by any man, I was never nowhere near near being a star. But I went out there, I'm like, where is all this hype coming from? I mean, they throw a pass into him, he'd miss the pass, he's slapping his hand, looking like, what's wrong with my hands? I said, you can't catch the ball. That's what's wrong with your hand. And I kept thinking, where's all this hype coming from? He ain't showed me nothing, and I said, yeah. I guess sometimes people can talk up a good game and things like that, and you go out there, see him on the court, and you're like, no, that's all he is talking a good game.
Oh yeah.
But, people like you, you had a good game. You had a game. So I'm sure, to try to make that decision on when it's time to give it up is a lot harder for people like that know that they had a game.
Oh yeah, man. It was because when Rosin said that, well, what about me, Rodney? What we had just gotten married too.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I'll be traveling all over the world, playing basketball. This is wonderful here. She said, what? She ain't say yeah or no. She just said, what about me? I was like, oh my God. Maybe I should have postponed this wedding for another year. Another year or two. And but yeah, she put my head on for me, because it was time to let it go. It ain't gonna happen. You in the war now, boy.
Yeah. But there was I don't know if you ever remember this guy back at Lackland that he did well. He was on. I'm trying to think of how did he make it to the Air Force team? I'm trying to think. But the guy, light skinned brother, freckled, by the name of Jimmy Lomax. That you remember?
Yeah,
that
I know Jimmy Lomax. I played against him.
Okay. I think at one time he went in. I think he was coaching after he got out of the Air Force. I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he had a good game.
Yeah,
he had a good game. So you remember Jimmy? Okay.
Yeah, I played against him. I played against him in I played it at Alconbury, and I played against him at Lackland. Because at Lackland, I was checking him and he was checking me when that coach asked me to come out for the team.
Okay.
Yeah. But
he was a dental tech. He was a dental tech.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a dental tech.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know Lomax. Actually, the last I heard of him, he had a scholarship offer to New Mexico State. Was the last thing that I heard about him. Because I had a partner up here named Mike. Mike Steele played with him, and he was telling me about he had had a scholarship offer and was supposed to be going to New Mexico State or something. But yeah, I know. I say I know him. I don't know him. I played ball against him. I don't really know him. And
he had a good game. He was a nice guy too. Nice, sort of low key kind of guy.
Was he?
Yeah.
He's a little left-handed brother.
Yeah.
I remember him. Yeah, me and him had a few battles, and I think that was after. Yeah, it had to have been afterwards, because I didn't meet Steele until I got here. And we deployed together, and we was over there at the gym playing ball. I said, yeah, Lomax, Jimmy Lomax. You ever heard of? Yeah, I know Lomax. We played over here at Alconbury for a couple of years. And but yeah, Jimmy was a good guard.
Yeah, he was. And now that you say that, I'm just trying to remember if that's what happened. If he did get out and go to school, that might have been what happened. I'm just trying to remember back. If that's what happened. But yeah, I remember he was good. He was good.
Yeah. They had that's when they had that team that was pretty successful over there at the time, when that dude asked me to come out, because they had done pretty well. I think they had went to USAFE or something.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And when he was there at Lackland too, he played with the brother that worked there in the Warhawk gym, the one with the beard, Taylor. You remember the guy sort of dark skin had the beard that worked there in the gym?
I don't remember.
You don't remember him? They were all on that team at Lackland together.
Okay.
Sure was.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of basketball and stuff, did you hear the story about your boy Dwight Howard?
Let me keep it clean. I see why nobody signed his ass in free agency.
I guess there's been rumor. I guess I just ain't been so much in the game that I had heard them. But people, when I was reading about that, they was like, "Oh, there's been rumors, forever about him."
That's me. Even my brother-in-law, because I sent the article that I read to him. He was like, "Damn, man." He said, "Yeah, me and my son was sitting up talking about." I don't remember this, but he said, "Yeah, remember a couple of years ago, a few years ago." He was on somebody's team, and the player was walking off the court, one of his teammates, and he grabbed it, man.
No, so I ain't heard about that either.
I'm like, I don't remember that, man. But yeah, man, it's always the ones you least expect.
I guess so. Cause he got all them kids and stuff. I'm thinking, no. I'm like, man, what's that? That don't seem right. But yeah, they talking about it's been like a rumor for forever. I'm like, I didn't know that.
Because I couldn't understand why nobody. You got a 7-foot athlete that's agile and can get some rebounds and block some shots, and nobody interested. Of course, I didn't think about that until after I read that article. I was like, "Oh, that's why." I'd have lost the house on that one because I'd have never bet it was him.
Yeah, man. Well, I heard that, and I heard the story. They started talking about the story on the radio station. And then they said, and his lawyer, and the first thing I thought came to my mind was, his lawyer is going to say this is somebody out there for a money grab. They're trying to, get his money kind of thing. And his lawyer, and his lawyer came out and said that it was a consensual. Yeah. I'm like, consensual? What? It was a consensual relationship. They met on some kind of dating app, and it was all consensual. I'm like, so he basically is confirming that he was with another man. And then I saw a story. The guy was saying that that Howard brought in some transgender guy that made him have sex with him too. And I'm thinking, goodness gracious.
He said, "I'm not gay. I'm just freaky." No, you gay and freaky.
I'm like, goodness. See, I never would have thought that.
I did the same thing today, man, which I normally don't do because I don't think about it. It ain't like it's beyond me. I just don't never think about it. I thought about it today. I was reading an article about Iman Shumpert and Tiana Taylor getting divorced.
Right.
And it was saying it wasn't about anything adultery or anything like that. So I read a little article. It said, even though we had an open marriage and we had threesomes and all that. So then they named this girl, hell, I can't think of her name. It's a weird name, who's an adult film star. And they claimed that they had a three-way and she got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, oh boy, I liked the baby picture when she had the baby on there. And they were just kind of alluding that was part of the deal, right? So I'm like, man, let me see what she looked like. Because Tiana Taylor is a fine little heifer.
Right.
And I'm like, damn, if he getting a threesome, who he getting it with? Man, this girl is fine as hell too. I'm like, good googly moogly. And but yeah, that rose my attention there, boy. I was like, damn, let me hear. I spoke into my phone. Who is this? Blah, 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 blah. Brought her right up. Put that picture up there. I'm like, oh, I see why he had a threesome there.
Yeah, I guess so. They were saying the other day that I guess Damian Lillard's getting a divorce.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I guess as part of his divorce petition, he wants his ex to give up his last name.
Oh, wow.
And that was, they have them little call-in things on the radio station out of Nashville every day. They'll tell a little scenario and say, "What do you think?" And that was that day's call-in was, if you got a divorce from someone, and they asked you to give up their last name, would you do it? Of course, some of them called in and said, "Yeah, if I'm not with them anymore, I could care less." Blah 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 blah. Others said, "Well, it depends on whether we had kids together. If we had kids together and they've got his last name and I'm their mom, I would want to keep my last name and all." But that's first time that I can remember of hearing about a sort of a celebrity, saying as part of the divorce petition that they wanted their ex to give up their last name.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that before.
Hey, I personally, now this is from a man's point of view. It's not a woman. If I divorced and I had your last name, I don't want it no more. I'm like, hell, you can have this. I give it to you free. I remember when it got to be the thing to do back in the day, when they started, women would get married and they would take their first name and their last name that they've always had and then add or hyphenate the other name. And I asked Rosalind if she wanted to do that. She's like, "No, I don't want to do that." I'm like, because when I started thinking about it, I said, well, if I had a daughter, hell, her name would have been Tony. Like I want her to keep her name and add his to it. That's who she was before she met him. I think it's a tribute to her family and to her dad and his family name and all that. I asked her, I said, "Do you want to do that?" She's like, no. Well, first off, my wife, how she is, she said, "Well, what does it entail?" I said, "Well, it's going to be expensive." She said, "No, I don't want to do it." but I think it's a tribute to your family, to keep it. But then I understand traditionalists who don't want to keep it, just like she was. She's like, "No, I don't." Well, the price didn't help it none.
Right.
But she said, "No, I'm a Turner now." So I'm like, okay. But I'm like, man, I think it would be a wonderful thing for somebody to keep their original name and add their husband's name to it.
Well, that's sort of a tradition in the Hispanic community that even with the boys, that they'll take the both family names, and they have a lot of those hyphenated names. Even the men, the males, I say the men, the males in the family, they do that quite a bit. And I guess a lot of it, just like you say, comes down to individuals' tastes and desires. Some of them, may want to do it. Some of them may not. I just, as I say, that was just the first time I'd ever heard about somebody wanting that to be part of the divorce settlement, is giving up the last name. And as you say, I think there's part of it. You say, yeah, we going our separate ways. Yeah, you can have your name. I care less about your name.
I'm telling you.
It'd be interesting to know what his reasons were. Is it a emotional decision, or is it a financial decision? Do you think she might be able to make money off his name? I mean, it just makes me wonder, why would he want that to be part of the divorce?
Yeah, it's really, off the top, without knowing any of the details, don't make no sense, because she finna make some money anyway. Y'all got 3 kids. You finna pay out your ass.
Oh yeah, she gonna get hers.
I'm telling you, whether her name is Lillard or not, she finna get it. But yeah, I don't know. I've come to learn to. I just know who I am, so I can't expect anybody else to be like, well, I mean, unless it's just something devastating. We done been together this long enough to get 3 kids. Unless you done just done something drastic, I think we can stick this out. And maybe, if things don't get no better, then, hey, if somebody want to walk, they'll walk. But at this point, I'm looking at it as a businessman. It's going to cost me a hell of a lot of more money to get you out of my house, or no, I should say, for me to move out my house, more than likely, And it's just, I don't know. I don't get it. People bail so quick nowadays out of their relationships. I look at these old stupid shows in the middle of the day. This girl sitting up there, we've been together, Maury, for 2 whole years. I'm like, well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, I see those kind of things too. It's amazing how people's concept of longevity, especially with marriages, have changed over the years.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, they definitely have.
They even say 6 months or a year emphatically. Like, can you believe that? We've been together 6 months. I'm like, good God Almighty. It's amazing, but
yeah, I was listening to. It's amazing, like you just say, it's amazing how you got different people's opinion on stuff like that. That's why I like listening to that show and the call in, and how people can be so far off, far different, on their thoughts on things like that. And so yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to listen to them just to see where people are coming from as far as their opinion and things of that nature. Because everybody's got a different look on things. There was one couple that was saying that they've been divorced for I forgot how many years and living in the same house for all that time. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I think the question was about having somebody come over and sleep over at the house.
Right.
Y'all divorced. You got your bedroom, I got my bedroom, but to make things work, we're gonna stay in the same house. And is it okay to bring over my friend and have them stay the night in my room in our house, kind of thing? I think is what the discussion process was. And of course, there was people who wrote in and said, "Oh no, you gotta have enough respect for your ex to not be bringing any random people over and that kind of thing." And there was other people who said, "Well, no, you're divorced. You can do whatever you want to do. If y'all decide to stay in the same house, she's going to deal with the fact that there may be not random women, other women come in the house, going into your room. That's your room. You do whatever you want to do." So it's always interesting just to listen at the different ideas on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is, and it's a trip because some of these folks, no, we divorced. Go your way, I go mine. We ain't finna do all that. If it's a financial thing, no, you still gotta go. but if it was something that was so financially serious that we had to stay in the same house, well, then everybody need to abide by the rules. If you ready to get you some loving, go to the hotel.
They can't do it in the house.
No, brother. Hell no. Hell no.
But that's my room. I can do whatever I want to.
Hey,
we're divorced now.
Hey, there's a limitation on that. you better tell them to leave the light on at Motel 6, goddamn.
and that's exactly what some people that was calling it was saying. They were saying, "Oh no, you don't do that in the house. I'm in the house. You don't do that. You go out and you either go to her place, do your thing, and then come on back home here, or y'all go to the room." Yeah, a lot of people called in and said the same thing.
Yes, sir. And the bylaws also state, take you a damn shower before you come back home. I don't want to hear you. So that tell me what you've been doing. Go on, take you a shower while you're over there. But no, man, because we've often joked here with the two of us that it ain't gonna get that bad to where anybody gonna leave. You get mad, whoever gets that mad, they ain't going down to one of them other bedrooms down there. Everything cause ain't nobody going nowhere. So you down there, but ain't nobody coming to visit. Hell with that. They call Motel 6. They take reservation.
Oh, me and Marion sort of the same way too. we've been at this too long now to be making any decisions
I'm telling
like that. Because it's starting to get, like you mentioned before, it's starting to get to be how much of it is an emotional decision
you.
versus a financial
Mhm.
decision at this point.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I'm not finna. I'm not finna beat Donald Trump and lose my billionaire status because you. Because you want to sow some wild oats or something, like, no, brother. Hey, we gonna work this out. We've been talking for all this time. We're gonna talk this out now. Wait a minute now.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too. Like you say, you go to your end of the house, I'll go to the end of my end of the house, and
Mhm.
we'll be cordial to each other. But it ain't going no farther than that.
That's it.
It's been too long now to talk about this kind of stuff. We were, 5 years in or something. It might be a different story, but
Right.
not when you're 40 years
Yeah,
in.
I'm telling you, I ain't about to start over now. I got to go live with my son because I can't afford.
Yeah,
Now
you
he,
got a room.
now he
You got
giving
a
me,
room.
yeah. Now he giving me rules. You need to be here by 12.
That's right. And don't be bringing no random women in my house.
Yeah, man. I'm like, no, we can't have that. So yeah, man, it's people make irrational decisions based on emotion. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you need to sit down and think about this. Now, what, how bad is it? Because I know you got a lot of men and women, that are just already preconditioned. If they do this, then I'm gone. You need to think that through. You know, You need to think that through. It might not be as a lot of people make decisions like that based on what other people say. Girl, if that was me, I'd leave him. Or
Mm-hmm.
hey man, I'd leave her. You don't know the whole circumstance, man. So you can't
Yeah.
just do what you think other people might think you should do, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the operative word is that if I were you, you ain't me. You
Hey,
ain't either one of them.
that's right.
So, you can say whatever you want because you ain't going to be the one that's going to have to deal with it.
That's right.
It's always easier when you ain't the one that's got to
Right.
deal with it. Say what you're going to do or what you would do.
Right. And that's usually the one giving the advice that did it like that and now they regret it. They want you out there
Mm-hmm.
with them.
Yeah. 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 You got to be careful on stuff like that. And I know you're going to probably go uh, if you got a close enough friend that you feel like you can confide in them. So,
Sure.
I know you do stuff like that, and all, but you got to be careful on that stuff because, as you say, sometimes them people got their own ulterior motives too.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
You got to be careful of that too.
But see, the difference is, for not all of them, but for most of the people of our generation, we look for that friend that we know gonna give us some wholesome advice
Mm-hmm.
versus sharing it on Facebook and letting all these random folks that don't even know you, girl, you need to leave him.
Yeah.
Cause she been left with her 4 kids by herself. Yeah, come on out here and join the club.
Yeah, yeah, and that's like I said, that's the same thing I think about when I listen to the show. Yeah, you got people that are outside the situation that give you those kind of advice, and you every now and then you'll get one who say, "I was in that same situation. I did this and I did that," and I'm like, "Nah, you were in a similar situation.
Right.
You weren't in the same situation
That's
because
right.
this ain't about you,
That's
But
right.
yeah, you get that kind of thing too from them. But I've always said to myself, I said, how can two people who at one point loved each other so much that they wanted to say they wanted to spend the rest of their life with them can almost hate each other so much that they can't even stay in the same room together? I mean,
Right.
it's just sort of interesting how you get to that point. And I'm sure you do. I mean, we're all human and things happen, I mean, especially if there's issues in the marriage and stuff like that. They was having a situation on there where they had that, what was it? Domestic abuse day or whatever. They had a lady on there that was talking about the situation she was in. But once again, I you know, She was with this guy. She was being evicted from her apartment. So she was in a bad situation to start with. Met this guy, basically moved right in with him because she had to go somewhere. Moved in with him. Of course, she said when I first, met him, he was just the greatest guy ever. He said all the nice, right things. He brought me things, bought me stuff, that kind of stuff. Then all of a sudden he changed, as she said. And actually ended up, they had gotten into it about something, and she said he was basically about to kill her. Said he put her in a chokehold and said, what did he say? Go to sleep, bitch. I think is what he said to her.
Damn. And
she had a gun. She shot. She said, I sort of shot over my head, thought maybe I shot him in his arm or something. He let go. So she took off running. He started running after her with her gun because she dropped the gun after she shot it. And then she said all of a sudden he just fell. And come to find out, that she had shot him in the shoulder, but she shot him and, it sort of shot an artery in his shoulder. He bled out.
Oh, man.
But I said, you can understand the situation. But I said to myself, she started out in a very vulnerable position. She had to go somewhere.
Right.
So even though this guy may have been saying the right things and all, knowing the guy for like basically 2 weeks and moving in with him, you just sort of put yourself in a bad situation.
Yeah, you did.
You did that from the very beginning. And I'm sure he probably said to himself, well, I know she's in a bad situation. She needs somewhere to go. She needs somewhere to stay. I'm going to give her a place to stay, but it's going to come with consequences. And it did. It did. Man, it's terrible when a relationship turns violent. It seems like we see those situations more and more. But I guess if love is truly there, it'll help you get through some of those things. And hopefully most of us don't have to experience those kind of relationships. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School. Join us next time. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.